This is The Psychology of Christmas by Caleb Irwin.
No matter what, people seem to love Christmas, whether they're religious or not. We love the atmosphere, the scents and sights that remind us of our childhood, the idea of coziness and exchanging gifts with our loved ones. It's something people have done since forever, year after year, and it hasn't become dull at all. This tells us that humans are drawn to habits, things that are familiar, and especially things that can come easy. According to psychologists from Crowbox, this is because our brains are wired to use cognitive biases to navigate through life easier, and the holiday season becomes a part of that. Growing up, in most Western cultures, young children believe in fantasy figures, such as Santa Claus, with this belief diminishing as children grow older. But by the age of 5, most children can distinguish pretend actions from real ones. However, research by Jacqueline Wise at the University of Texas in Austin has shown that children's belief in Santa does not decline until the age of 7, and about 1/3 of 9-year-olds still believe in Santa Claus. This ultimately suggests that our belief in Santa is sustained longer than it is for other fantasy figures. There was another study done by psychologist Jeremy Dean, where he asks why we persist in promoting the myth of Santa Claus to children. Well, from the 318 parents that he surveyed, the most common answer was that it was the myth and magic in the story that they liked. And although many think that finding out Santa Claus isn't real would dampen Christmas's magic and happiness, further research shows otherwise. Christmas is a time of year like no other. Gifts are exchanged, little spoken to relatives are contacted, and appetizing treats are consumed with much vigor. Christmas can be both a time of stress and a time of relaxation. But studies show that the presence of Christmas may influence some of the chemicals in your brain, dopamine and serotonin, which affect your happiness levels. The University of Copenhagen made a study trying to localize and detect the Christmas spirit in the human brain. Here, participants were shown Christmas-themed images, and in those participants who actively celebrated Christmas, there was increased brain activation in the sensory motor cortex, the premotor and primary motor cortex, and the parietal lobe. Previously, these brain areas have been associated with spirituality, bodily senses, and recognizing facial emotions. A part of Christmas is also the behavior of gift giving. The giving and receiving of gifts is an age-old Christmas tradition, and there's no better feeling than seeing your loved one's eyes light up when you found the perfect gift for them. But why does this behavior make us feel so good? Generosity has been linked with the reward circuitry of our brain, causing the release of dopamine and endorphins. Researchers have described this as a helper's high, which is experienced after giving. The chemicals that cause this high can reduce stress and increase your desire to repeat these acts of kindness. But psychologists do say that just the sight of Christmas decorations bring people back to simpler and happier times. They say it again also helps boost dopamine. Psychologist Deborah Serrani told Today that it does create that neurological shift that can produce happiness. And although Christmas is associated with happiness, awe, and wonder, it can be a time of overindulgence, and is also often associated with weight gain, according to scientific studies. One 2000 study did show that the behavior of celebrating Christmas was associated with an average weight gain of about 500 grams. However, a newer study done in 2016 in almost 3,000 participants from Japan, Germany, and the US found that weight increased by 500 grams in Japanese participants, 600 grams in US participants, and 800 grams in German participants over celebrating Christmas. Holy cow. Also, along with this, the behavior of celebrating Christmas is also associated with increased heart failures. Psychologists from Pennsylvania analyzed patient admissions to the Einstein Medical Center in Philadelphia between 2003 and 2013. They found that the behavior of celebrating Christmas was indeed associated with increased heart failure admissions. They concluded that the emotional stressors, overeating, less exercise, and postponing medical appointments during the holidays could potentially contribute to this increase in heart failure.
Man, too bad for that guy.
Now, let's focus on the impact that Christmas has on mental health. It used to be thought that Christmas time was a particular risk for suicide. But, in a study done by Professor Brian Hughes, his data shows quite clearly that the opposite is the case. He found that suicide rates actually decline at Christmas, which is great news.
Next is the behavior of getting together and bonding with family and friends. This renowned Christmas tradition involves sitting around the table with your loved ones. The bond between you and those special to you can result in the release of a hormone called oxytocin in the brain. Also known as the cuddle hormone, it drives maternal behavior, trust, and social attachment. So, this hormone may help towards explaining that warm, fuzzy feeling you get at Christmas when surrounded by those you love and trust.
For most people, all Christmas is a time where they are forced to go spend time with their family. But in a way, it is a part of all of us. This holiday is something we should all hold dear in our hearts. It's a window into the past, a reflection of the kids we were. It is unchanged since we started becoming the men and women we are today. Despite all the quotes about Christmas from the many psychologists around the world, I think the Santa Claus from Polar Express said it best. Just remember, the true spirit of Christmas lies in your heart.